Yo, what up, YouTube? It's your boy Zai. You already know what time it is with Basie, man. Let me get into what I want to talk about. Before that, I just want to send my shots out once again to all the people that support the channel and been supporting me since day one. I know that content is not always up to par as far as like what you want to hear about. I know some people like to hear drama, some people like to hear politics, some people like to hear life experiences. Some people want to know exactly what I've been through in my life as far as like being incarcerated and then some people just want to hear about how I prevailed as far as like where I'm at now. But with that being said, man, I'm just gonna get into exactly what the video is about. Now, I had a question asked by somebody, well, one of the subscribers. He asked me if I could elaborate or talk a little about the whole SNY integration thing. And for the most part, I had heard about it a while ago. I see somebody put a video up on it. Put a video. Excuse me. I see somebody put a video up on TikTok, a female. They had been out there protesting. They were talking about like for all the people that didn't go out there and protest, like now you know basically you got to suffer the consequences of them being integrated with your family. Now, for the most part, I think it's all bad. I think it's one of those situations that it's a that is just all bad and there's no really resolving it. It's one of those things that it just has to run its course and on the other edge I see it as retribution for both sides or how should I say, I think it's a way, it's karma, you know what I'm saying, on both sides, because on one end you got dudes that were on that yard that never did anything. Like I've known a few cats that ended up on that yard, and the whole reason they ended up on that yard is because somebody tried to twist them and was successful at twisting them because due to who they might know and you know what I mean, or who they eventually got their brownie points from, and it's sad. I've seen a lot of dudes go out backwards just because of that case. They knew that it was a losing battle and they weren't gonna win. So it's like either you're gone or you die. That's just what it was. It wasn't one of those like like you going out like a warrior. It's like, no, you're gonna die because somebody chose to cross you up in something that you had absolutely nothing to do with. Now, I'm not here to speak on anybody's behalf. I'm just saying that it's one of those situations that there were cats that are on those yards that are gonna one get back. You know what I mean? It's like, and and to be honest, if I was one of those that was weak enough to succumb to that, because I've had cats do all types of weird, you know what I mean, and eventually, it comes to a head, and most of the time, I just say that they lost that situation, but I've been in those situations and people try to twist me, and it always turned out bad because when you lie, a lot of times shit comes out, and then it's them same cats that try to twist me that are now, well, on them SNY yards and now got to come back to the main line. So I think it's a double-edged sword. And don't get me wrong, it's not like the first time this has happened. You had LA County numerous times segregation. I used to get caught up in that whole thing all the time, and I'll tell you why. Because I mean, it's no secret that black running with Southerners. So it's like every time there was segregation, I had to, and I always got put in a bad situation because it'd be like I'll be on the county bus, and they're like, I'm expecting to sit down next to the homie, and then it's like, these fools don't really know me. Only I always get on, and there's at least one fool I know, if not two, but I would have to get shackled in the back, and you already know that, especially anybody that's ever been incarcerated, when you're dealing with the homies, we cannot complain. Like, we can't go up there and be like, oh, we can't be back here. Like, that's a no-no. Like, you got to just take what comes to you. Now, I could inform the Huda or the cop, you know what I mean, that, hey, you can't tell them, hey, I can't be back here, but you can tell them, like, hey, you know what I mean, I'm a Southerner. And then it's funny, they would always like, what? You're who? Like, yeah, I'm a Southerner, you know what I mean? Like, I'm from a Mexican, I room with them. And they would always be like, what the, like, confused, but it's not like it's the first time that they've seen it, but it's always like, some rookie or some fool. He's not really knowing if I'm just one of these fools trying to do some kamikaze move. So I would get put in a situation to where it was like, they would stand me up, shackled, and then you already got the blacks muttering in the back on what they'll do, which was kind of stupid because it's like, dog, just be quiet, and they'll eventually put me in the tank in at court, and you can do what you want. You know what I mean? And it's happened like that. Like I've went head up a few times in the tank because I had no choice. It was like, look, I'm not gonna bang on the door and be like, hey, you need to get me out of here. So I had to wait until I go to court. You know what I mean? And before they take me back, like, look, you keep throwing me in the wrong tank. I'm a Southerner. That's happened a few times. But whatever, it was in those instances lucky. It wasn't just one of those things where everybody wanted to get a piece. It was just a few cats, and then there's a few older cats I know and a few younger cats that allowed the heads up, like, the quick little boom, we get the fade in. I probably had to fight like two or three people, but it's like it was one on one. So until, like, until they got me up out of there, and for a lot of part after the phase that would be ran, they would go knock on the door and be like, hey man, this guy, he can't be in here. This dude's a Southerner. He runs with them, and so they would come out. Probably see a couple little scrapes. You know what I mean? Because after three fades, it was like, boom. But at least they would give me that. It's never like they try to raw dog me or nothing. Like I've always been able to get like at least that. So I don't know, maybe whatever. You know what I mean? If you believe in, but I know I got off topic, but yeah, like I said, they would stand me up, and then they would have to talk to a few homies in the front of the bus, like, "Hey, is it cool if it was just one of those?" And it's always been like that. So I've been through the awkward moments, and but the whole reason why I brought this up is because a lot of times they allowed things. You would have people. You had Reverend Freddie Jackson or whatever. He protested because blacks were outnumbered, so a lot of them were getting killed in the county at that time. So he wanted to separate it so nobody, lost their family anymore. And for the most part, that worked. But then, I don't know what happened. I don't know who to whose benefit it wasn't working for. So they eventually seen that it wasn't doing nothing but you know, uh, cultivating, or I won't say cultivating, but it was just basically they weren't helping the situation by keeping us segregated. So eventually they reintegrated the county buses, and they, the movements in the county, and it worked. We still had incidents, like, because it's just the way it is. That's how LA County is. That's how LA County is probably like the worst county jail to be in, if on that page. But, and this is not downplaying anybody else's county, but anybody that's been in LA County knows that it goes up. Like it's just that because you had the mecca of basic gangbanging right there. But and then well, you anybody been to the county, you already know Bloods, Crips, Southerners, Asians, and that's it. You know what I mean? You had the whites, but never really too deep. Uh, but yeah, so I can see what they're doing, but eventually it's like this. They basically giving people a chance to handle their business, and eventually they will have to snatch. They will have to split it again and put SNY back on SNY, because if they don't, it's always going to be disruptions, But they're banking on the fact that there's enough places to put Southerners, so they don't have to deal with them. But then again, you're gonna have blacks that are gonna want to get back on cats that have did messed up stuff. You're gonna have whites that's gonna catch whites that maybe snitched on them or did something like weird. You know what I mean? It's so they're gonna figure out that it's not gonna work all the way around. They thought with the whole scenario of segregating the Bulldogs and Corcoran like that, like they use that as a model, but it doesn't work in the scheme of things because there's a lot of animosity. But yeah, my opinion on it is basically we gonna see who is who when with this full integration. There's gonna be some fools that probably never would have thought they're gonna lock it up. That's gonna try to do their thing. You know what I mean? Or go to the hole because they want to be on the main line because they want to deal with that type of drama. But yeah, it's like I said, you gonna see who is who, because there's a lot of cats on that yard that want theirs back. Like it's just like they got twisted because of some bull, and they figure, this is my chance to get that. So it's one of those scenarios. But for the most part, I think it'll last a while, and then eventually they'll have to separate it again because too many people are gonna get killed. Because that whole notion, oh, we'll just lock all Southerners down. Southerners are too big. It's like, You see what happened when you send us out of state. What happens? Kick up dust. You know, they had to change up their program just to accommodate us because we're kicking up dust. Like it was just, and you know, that's not to toot the horn. Like, oh yeah, Southerners, all that, but it's just a fact. Like it's just, you know, what it is. So yeah, uh, that's basically all I gotta say about that, man. This is their chance, I guess, for get back, and it's also a chance on our side for get back on cats that may have barely slipped through the cracks. Now they gotta face the music unless they go to the hole. But yeah, it won't last long. The And if it does, I'll be surprised. You know what I mean? Because families are gonna be protesting. Hey, nah, I don't want. You know, you start killing too many people's family members, and be like, hell nah. You know what I mean? They're gonna want it separated again because it's like, damn, like yeah, you're incarcerated, but you want your family to come home. They locked it up for a reason to avoid that. You know what I mean? Having to deal with those type of issues. Now you throw them right back in the mix. It's like, yeah, families are gonna that shit ain't gonna it ain't gonna last long. People are gonna be protesting it because you gonna have the people that's always been on the main line that don't deal with the SNY, can't stand them, that their family's gonna want them to be able to come home or be able to get at least some type of program, knowing that if these dudes are still in the yard, they're always gonna be clashing. So you have people protesting on that edge, and then you're gonna have people protesting the fact that like you're sending us to die, because that's what it is. You know what I mean? Like you rapist, child molester, you're sending them to die. They're gonna die eventually. You know what I mean? Like it may seem like it's, you know, whatever, and then it's gonna go up. They're not gonna be allowed to stay on the yard. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword, and I think there's gonna be a lot of lawsuits coming out of that. Because if you have to accommodate a dude that feels like that wants to be, you know, swaddled and put in a diaper, and they're thinking about accommodating that, like you can't accommodate the separation, it ain't gonna work. That's all I'm saying. And from all races, it's not gonna work. You know what I mean? Because everybody has some type of enemy. Uh, but that's all I'm gonna say on that. This video was long, but that's my opinion on the whole SNY thing. It's bull, and it ain't gonna last. That being said, I'm your boy Zod. I'll be back at you, and I'm out.